Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're giving you guys our first impressions of the new albums from Sulfur, Kreator, and Soen. So, big day today, our first impressions of 2026, and let's open the floor with Endless by Sulfur. Notably, Wither was one of the... We listened to, a few of the singles. Wither we reacted to, and it blew us away. Yeah. We're still blown away, even now with the album release, because that song is beautiful. And I think it's a testament as to what is possible in this genre.
I agree, yeah.
I've said it many times in regards to this song, in regards to other bands, you can have pretty and clean and this kind of stuff sounding in a deathcore album and still have it be brutal deathcore. Yeah. There are some bands that are too scared to make that step. I can understand why in a few different ways. But I think, fortune favors the brave, and every time we've seen this kind of stuff done, it goes well. This is not the first time.
Yeah.
And this band does it quite well. They've done a little bit of that with the last record, which is on our Toe Tags list. This is their sophomore record.
Yep.
And, I think... one of the big notes that I wrote at first is that this band makes modern deathcore a lot more interesting. I think this is definitely one of the standout bands of today's popular deathcore sound, which is a lot more symphonic heavy. Yeah. You see that with a lot of bands, but I feel like that oversaturates the palette. So only some bands are the ones that really stand out. I think this band is one of them.
Yes, I agree.
I think a big part of that is that everyone sounds good, especially Ricky. He's got a fantastic voice. Mm-hmm. And I think... they do a really good job at making tracks memorable. They know when to use what. A lot of bands might fall into the pitfall of they kind of lean towards one thing, either the wall of noise or this or that too much or too many breakdowns or this or that. This band has a really good mix of stuff all over the place. And on top of that, there's a lot of standout moments where it's like, oh, did you hear that part? Did you hear that? Did you hear the key change in Forlorn? I loved that. I thought that was sick. Yeah. Kind of reminded me of something you'd hear from Mental Cruelty, which is another band that, in my opinion, stands out among the rest.
They do, yeah, I agree.
So, I think, the connection is there. But it's cool that, you have something beautiful like Wither, which, once again, gorgeous song. But a song like Vast Eternal hits like a truck. The breakdown in the middle is super gnarly, and I think it's really awesome that, this album has both sides of that coin, where it's so sad and depressing, but it's so brutal still. Yeah. Now, when I listened to Wither, I thought to myself, man, maybe this would be a bit better as a closer, because I think the whiplash effect afterwards of going back to the brutal stuff is a bit tough. And then I heard the closer, and I'm like,
Endless Loveless.
Yeah, that track puts such a great cap on the album. I think it's better to end it with that rather than Wither, because Wither is a really depressing sounding song. Last track is still depressing, but it's beautiful. And it really puts you in a good spot to end the record. I think it's a fantastic way to end this record.
Yeah. I agree with a lot of the things TV Fish said. I think this is a band that's not afraid to take chances, and most of the time their chances have been pulling off. And you have a song like Wither in the middle of the album, and yes, it's a soft song, yes, it's a ballad, and a lot of people might not really like that, but I think what kind of saves it a lot is the fact that it's surrounded by brutal stuff. Yeah. Right? It's surrounded by brutality. And this band knows how to go hard. They know how to do all the little vocal tricks that a lot of people really love. And, they have a good range of sound. It doesn't feel like you're listening to the same song over and over again.
It's true.
And, I really respect that, and I really like it. And yes, that stuff does go a long way. So, as far as my first impression of this album goes, I was pretty impressed. Now, there was a few songs, I would say, that kind of just felt like they were just regular deathcore songs. But, again, it's a first impression. These are the types of things that, after repeated listens, after getting to know an album, you start to learn things and, catch things. So I think the highlights for me tended to be the singles that I was already kind of familiar with, maybe because I already knew kind of what was going on. Like Evermore, I think is an amazing song. That was almost my track of the year for last year. Sepsis became my track of the year by Lamb of God, but Evermore was up there. I love that song. It's so good. And Vast Eternal is also just a super good song. I love just some of the vocal phrasings and things like this. And I love how they play around with certain things like that. Just really cool stuff. And that's what I mean when I say they're not afraid to take chances, and they're not afraid to do different things to create a different sound and, stand out. And they really do a good job with this. So far, good stuff from Sulfur. Endless, on my first impressions, was really good.
So moving on, Crushers of the World by Kreator. We did check out 2 singles. That was Tren and Palast and Satanic Anarchy. Satanic Anarchy had a really cool video. That was the one inspired by Hellraiser.
Yes.
And I think that one, and I want to say I said this in the reaction, it hits a good sweet spot of hooky, but like not too much. It still feels like, hard stuff. Now, title track, that one stood out to me. It was a really, really nice slow burn with a 6 solo. So, partway through, I'm thinking with this record, like, wow, this is really just solid. Now, it's not like it's going to have like the most ridiculous, whatever, bells and whistles kind of standout moments, but it's overall consistently strong. Like, you can put on thrash metal and like, yeah, I'll just put on some thrash, like, yeah, get in there. But this is a step above that. This is like, if you want some really good thrash, you can put on Kreator and they'll deliver. We reviewed the last record, which I believe you gave a toe tag and I did not, barely. I want to say it was on the doorstep. And if memory serves, I want to say I liked the album quite a bit, but it was just kind of like riding this consistently strong wave. I kind of feel the same way about this record. Not to say that's a problem, but, it's hard for some albums to have the things that jump out, even though there was a few here and there. But it's just like, if you want to go for real quality thrash metal, go for this. Because, a song like Blood of Our Blood's another one I liked, has a rad solo, and the double kick turning up near the end I thought was really cool as well. But if you like thrash metal, you cannot go wrong with Kreator.
Yeah, like there's a lot of different kinds of thrash metal too. Like there's basically straight up standard thrash metal, and then there's thrash metal bands that kind of just throw little things in there to sound different or whatever. I think Kreator, as of late anyway, has been doing a lot more melodic stuff. They've been doing a lot more catchy hooks and that type of thing, right? And I kind of like that. I like that because it kind of gives each song a little bit more character to it, makes them a little bit more memorable, like makes them a little bit more easy to kind of sing along with and just enjoy in that aspect, right? Kind of just be a part of it. I did myself a favor and listened to Kreator's entire discography recently, just for fun in preparation for this album. And it was just interesting seeing the way their kind of sound changed through the years. But I'd say since about 2001, they've been pretty consistent. Although over the last maybe 2 to 3 albums, they've kind of had more of a signature sound over the last few years, the last few albums. And this just falls into that kind of same pocket, which I'm a fan of, right? I like that style of Kreator. But I listened to this album today and I found myself just kind of enjoying it just enough. Like I didn't really hear anything that was like completely wowing me. There's a few songs, like I think the first 4 songs on the album, like basically the first half of the album, I think is super solid.
Yeah.
And after that, it kind of started getting to a part where I was like, all right, this is fine. And then there's a few highlights that start coming out here and there. So on the second half of the album, you got Combatants. One of the best riffs on the album is in this song, in my opinion. So that's a highlight for me. Death Scream, I thought was also a cool song. That's track number 9, right? So I'm saying the first half of the album is really strong, but there's still strong parts and strong stuff in the second half of the album. So this is similar to Endless by Sulfur. I think this is an album where if I listen to it more, I start finding more stuff that really was, something to appreciate. But another thing that I really liked about this album is that it has a nice soft track to close the album. And a lot of times we talk about softer tracks being kind of like, we call it the mid-album breather or the break track or whatever, and it's usually around track 4, track 5. In this case, they took that type of song and put it at the end of the album, and I don't mind that. I don't think the end of an album always has to be like this banger closer. Sometimes it's nice to have a nice calm closer, similar to the Sulfur album, which also has a ballady type closer. I wouldn't call this a ballad, but it's a softer song. I thought that was a really good choice to do it on this album. So good stuff, Crushers of the World. I like it. I'm going to spin it more for sure when I get a chance. But my highlight track probably Satanic Anarchy. Even the opening track 7 Serpents and China and Plus are also amazing songs.
So to cap it off, Reliance by Soen. I only checked this band out a little bit because you were telling me about this upcoming record, like, yo man, check out Soen, the last record was really good, so I'm like, okay. And I tried out a little bit of that last record, thought it was fine, didn't really jump out at me that much, but okay, cool, let's get into this. And some of the earliest stuff that I kind of noted about this record is really cool riff stuff and ideas. Really like the one in Mercenary, and the embellishment in the riff with the feet for the drums was really cool. The breakdown in the middle of Discordia I thought was super cool, but it kind of felt out of place with the rest of the track. And from there is kind of where my problems begin, or at least the foundation of my problem with this album. It feels like you have a lot of great riff and groove and all these cool ideas with the band, but it feels like they're attached to something that it's just not. Because you have all these passages of like the same melodic vocals, the same kind of soft stuff going on, but then you have these random like super crunchy heavy riff that comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, it feels like this is two different songs trying to compete against each other to who gets to be on the record. And then someone played polymerization, fused them together, and there you go. This is the fusion monster that is this album.
Yeah.
Now, you know, another example of that is Huntress. The main riff is amazing, but the rest of the song kind of just disconnects from it. So when you come back to it, it feels like it's its own little pocket of an idea and does not really gel with the rest of the concept of the album. So I'm thinking like, it's either got this hard and crunchy riff or this soft, quiet stuff. And I like that roller coaster. There's plenty of albums that I love that do that, but they do that with more intent. This feels like we're just bouncing back and forth. This is ping pong between two different vibes that don't really fit the best.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that was hard about listening to this record, is that, wow, there's these cool ideas. Oh, this again. And that's another thing. I feel like vocally, it could have had way more going on, because it was just the same thing over and over and over. And I'm like, if you're going to have these crunchy riffs, you want a little bit more grit to work with them a little bit. Not on every song, doesn't have to be, but at least something that's got a little bit more variety. So, you know, I was kind of consistently writing those notes as my issue. And then there was one point where they fumbled, in my opinion, right after the first chorus of, I believe it is Huntress. They, like, the guitar takes the lead and you got the piano there. It's at 1 minute, 23 seconds. Beautiful section. Does not last long, and I thought, why not have this be an extended section? Because then you just get into the next verse, and then it's just like whatever song. But then that section where, and the way the piano's going with the changes, I'm like, oh, this is gorgeous.
I hate when that happens.
And they kind of go there again when they do the chorus out, but just a tiny bit, because that was just the outro. And I'm like, why did you not have this be an extended section? This would have been gorgeous, beautiful.
Yeah.
And they fumbled that. So generally, I wasn't really that huge on the album. It's a bit repetitive, but there were cool ideas in there, and I would love to see them kind of get a more solid direction. Either do this kind of soundscape soft album, or do like this crunchy, riffy, kind of like Volbeat almost, but heavier kind of thing. Yeah. I think they got to pick one, because I don't think it really worked that well with them being meshed together that much.
You know, once again, I agree with a lot of the things you said. Well, you know, one thing on this channel that we praise a lot of bands is bands that can, you know, pull out that dichotomy of the heavy sound and the soft sound and mesh them together and really make it work.
That's what Sulfur did.
Exactly. And this is a band that, you know, they're overall, I would consider a more softer band when it comes to metal, but they do have some crunchy stuff in there. They do have some heavier stuff, and I don't think they really nailed it on this album. And it really was a disappointment for me, because I discovered this band because I just noticed that there was a band they had an album coming out. I thought, you know what, I'm going to check this band out. This was a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, I can't remember. It was recently. But I checked out Memorial, which was their 2023 album. And I loved it. I thought it was great. T Fish didn't like it so much, but I thought it was a fantastic album. And I went back and listened to some of their other albums, and none of them really hit the mark for me. So Memorial was like this weird, like, shining beacon on their discography that I thought was really, really good. And I was looking forward to this one because as a follow-up, I thought maybe they'd follow the same kind of steps. And they didn't. So the first song comes on, and I'm like, my first thought is, this is a decent song, but it doesn't feel like an opener. Like, I feel like this is the mid-album breather song.
Yeah.
And then the next song comes on, I'm like, oh, is this just that again? And then, like, every song's kind of got the same type of feeling, the same type of vibe. So I was left disappointed right out the gate, and that just didn't recover from that. Now, my biggest takeaway from this is the guitar solo in the second song, which is called Mercenary. I thought this was a fantastic guitar solo. I can't wait to listen to this again. It's got so much style, so much character to it. And I'm sure there's more stuff on the album that's like that. But if you get a bad taste in your mouth that early on, and then it kind of doesn't wash away quickly, it's really hard to recover, at least for me.
It is.
And it got to the point where I was about halfway, or a little bit more than halfway through the album, and I was like, am I listening to like, is this the same thing happening over and over again? Like, they're throwing a little bit of, like, stuff here and there that sounds kind of interesting, but they don't ride on it. They don't let it play out. They don't let it breathe. It's just do a little bit of here. It's like a tease. It's like a little carrot. And then they go, no, we're going back to this ballady type of stuff. And the whole album just feels like ballad after ballad after ballad, in a sense. Maybe it sounds kind of harsh to say that, but that's what it is. I did not like it. I did not get any feelings towards it whatsoever. It was a disappointment for me, and I hate to say that, but it is what it is.
Unfortunate that one was a miss for both of us.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, we decided that we are going to review Endless by Of Sulfur as our album review for the forthcoming week. So we are going to grind this album as much as we can, and we will drop our review next week. So stay tuned to see our final thoughts on that record. Anyway, guys, that's all we got for you today. Remember to like this video if you liked it. Tell us in the comments below what do you think of today's new releases, and maybe something we weren't able to cover that you think we should check out. Let us know in the comments, and subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm TV Fish.
I'm by myself.
We'll see you guys later.